Love is just like the rain. It's very fickle. It comes and goes, returns and leaves. And so today, I'm here to give all of you guys an anime first impressions of Love is Like After the Rain, episode 1. So, I just finished watching the first episode, and I watched this out of curiosity. I was very curious on how this show would be presented. And the reason why I say that is because of the description. Let me give you the details. So, Love is Like After the Rain is a romance seinen series. Now, automatically, the romance tag with the seinen tag attached warrants me enough to give it a watch, because I love romance and I love seinen. I'm a sucker for it. I'm biased for it. That's just how I am. And I've admitted this many times in the past. I just love my romance stuff. So, I give this show a watch just because of that reason. But another reason that played a big part was the description. And the description of the show, the story, was that a high school girl that was once in track team suffered an injury. And because of this injury, she was no longer able to be an athlete like she wanted, so she had to basically change course with her life. She no longer could do what she wanted to do. And so she eventually started to work at a family restaurant. And amongst working at this family restaurant, she eventually encountered her manager, which is a 45-year-old man that has caught her eye, and she is slowly starting to fall in love with him. And amongst falling in love with him, she starts to question how. How did this happen? Why does she love him? But eventually she comes to the conclusion it doesn't matter anyway. Now, that description alone, I know is going to make everybody, most likely, not just a couple, but everybody most likely saying, that's very weird, that's creepy, I'm not watching the show. I know for a fact there's many of you out there that are going to say that. And I can understand why. Because when you think of a high school girl falling in love with a 45-year-old guy, that's weird. It is. It's very weird. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat that. It sounds very weird. It's definitely not something that's like, okay, that's just, okay, that's weird. It's really weird. But at the same time, it was fascinating enough and different enough that warranted me wanting to check out the show. I was curious on how it would be presented. Since this is a seinen's meant to be more for the adult side of the spectrum. So I was kind of curious to see how this would be presented, since it's mainly for an adult audience. I actually thought that the 45-year-old man would be very creepy looking, very, very old looking like Inuyashiki from, the previous season. I thought he was going to look very old, but to my surprise, he didn't. He actually looked like a relatively good-looking main male character, and I was just like, whoa. But even then, though, the age difference is still there. So that's still not off the table with how creepy that age difference is. A high school girl falling in love with a 45-year-old man. Now, to clarify a couple of things, okay? In Japan, their culture is much different. When it comes to age of consent and all that type of stuff, and love and all that, it's very different from our norms, and what we're used to, especially in the United States. So, I'm not one to go out of my way, and I'm not going to judge a culture for being different. And that's just not me. I'm not going to try to do that. And so, what may look weird to us from how this show is presented could be completely normal. I mean, it's like weird or creepy-ish, but it's not like out of the realm of possibility of normal in Japan, or their culture. And so I just want to throw that out there, that even though we find this weird, or we, as watching it from other countries and stuff, find it weird, doesn't mean that Japan does. I want to clarify that. But anyways, though, our main female character, Akira, she has slowly started to fall in love with the main male character. And his character overall, he wasn't someone that was like a sleazebag. He wasn't someone that was creepy. He wasn't someone that relatively was like a bad dude or a perverted dude. He seemed like a stand-up individual. And overall, I do feel like the series might turn into more of a one-sided love than anything else. That's how I feel like the series is going to turn out, especially since it's a romance seinen. And let me give a little bit of details about the dude's character. So, the guy, apparently, he is now divorced. He's a divorced guy. He used to have a wife. He's now divorced. He does have a child. And his child apparently spends a lot of time with him, so that means that he is a very good father figure. He's a good father, and he's taking care of his child. And once again, I want to reinstate the fact that Akira, our main female character, she is falling in love with this dude that has a child and also is 45 years old. So that's very unique. It's a very different setting compared to what I am used to, because when I think of a romance series, especially even if there is like a big age difference, like a high school student falling in love with a teacher or whatever, there's never a child in between. There's never anything like that. There's never a child in the picture that, the high school guy or girl has to deal with. And it's something different that I was very shocked about when it was showcased in the episode. And I'm like, whoa, suddenly this series feels very real. Because regardless of how you feel, something like this does happen. Maybe not high schooler with a 45-year-old man, but a 20-year-old probably getting in love with a 40-year-old or something, or a 30-something-year-old, a late 30-year-old. That's something that does happen. That is definitely something, especially a younger person, marrying into a family that already has a child. That is definitely something that happens. And I'm like, whoa, suddenly this series really piqued my interest. It piqued my interest because of that. And I don't know how far this series is going to go with those themes, if it's going to expand upon them, but I do look forward to it if it does do that, because it seemed like a very decent start to this series, even though, like I said, one of the big jarring things about this is the age difference that's going to throw everybody off and not wanting to watch it. And like I said, I understand. If it's creepy for you and you can't watch it, I don't fault anyone for that. But I do feel like this series has good potential. A lot of potential to be a really fun series, an enjoyable series that could be thought-provoking in some moments, depending on how it's handled. Now, like I said, my true opinion on this, I do believe that most likely it's going to be more of a one-sided love than anything else, because even though it is a seinen, I have seen seinen series with romance tag and stuff be more of a one-sided love and not really go anywhere, especially like on a comedy side. And I don't know if that series is going to do that. I'm not condemning the series and saying it's going to do that, but that is most likely a possibility. That could potentially happen if, the series continues down that route. I mean, it seems like we have signs of that, but for whatever we know, maybe he might fall in love with her as well, because, I mean, we did see a little bit of a glimpse in this episode when she, left work and all that, the family restaurant, and she was walking out, the dude that obviously has a crush on her at the school, he meets her and all that, and then the 45-year-old man, he looks at her and he imagines himself as the boy walking up to her, which basically shows that, maybe that could potentially be a possibility. However, that also shows kind of what he has lost and how he was in the past. We gotta remember, he's a 45-year-old dude, and a long time ago, most likely, he probably acted like that boy that was in the episode. He probably acted like that, all bubbly, happy, wanting to get with a girl, and he realizes probably how naive he was or how he acted, and maybe that will be a very big life lesson with this character as well, what he'll teach us while we, continue to watch this series. So who knows? But, I do think that Love is Like After the Rain is a really fun series, and I think one of the biggest turnoffs from the series is definitely going to be the age difference, and if you could look past that, I do think that you could probably have a potential good anime series on your hands that could be one of the best from Winter of Anime 2018. Now, this series could easily go downhill, it could become one of the worst series, but for now, after watching the first episode, I do think it is rather fun, and it has caught my attention. It's definitely something I want to be looking forward to for, next week on Wednesday to actually be watching. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about the first episode if you have watched it. And if you haven't watched it, stop what you're doing, go check it out. And if for some reason, like I said, the setting creeps you out, then, obviously just don't watch it. I mean, I understand why. So, I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. Please be safe. Chibi out.